In this video we're going to talk about approaches to employee welfare. Now you'll note that this is one of a four-part talk on employee welfare, looking at various aspects associated with employee welfare. And this video really completes the set. In it we're going to look at some miscellaneous topics associated with employee welfare, ones that are important but nonetheless are wide-ranging and somewhat general in terms of their substance and the way we deal with them. So we'll start with drug and alcohol abuse. Now you may think that this is not really a business topic. It's not one that applies centrally to our consideration of business. But it is an issue in employee relations, and it's important to be aware of the impact that alcohol and drug abuse has on business and on industry in general. Substance abuse has become a growing concern for organisations and for employee welfare. If particularly key employees are resorting to excessive alcoholic drinking or drug abuse or substance abuse, this will have an impact on the organisation. It will have an impact on its workforce. It will have an impact on productivity and so on. So it is a concern for organisations, for their commercial success or failure. It's an issue that organisations should be aware of and should have some means of flagging up the issue or perhaps even dealing with it. Binge drinking causes organisations billions a year and results in a loss of working days. When people, say, drink to excess, particularly say at the weekends, it will have an effect on their productivity. It will have an effect on their state of health and their application and their concentration within the workplace. So it is an organisation's concern. Workers can cause harm to themselves and others if they work under the influence of alcohol. And sometimes when people drink, and perhaps drink a lot in the evening time or at night time, the effects are still in their blood system the next day. So it's dangerous for them to drive or to operate machinery. And clearly that is of concern to the organisation. Alcohol is seen as part of the culture for some organisations and is encouraged during parties and work functions. So the employees may get the wrong signals. They may get the signal from the behaviour of the senior staff, say at social functions, that excessive drinking is acceptable, when in fact it's not. It's downright dangerous. And it depends on the nature of the employment, of course, but for in general work within an organisation, within a factory or within an office can be greatly disrupted by the effects of binge drinking or excessive drinking. Alcohol and drug abuse. Well, the workplace policy is to encourage two-way communications, action planning, aims and objectives, campaign, posting information on alcohol statistics, I should say. It is a two-way communication. The employees should be encouraged to talk about issues if they've got them, and it should be done in a way that enables the employees to seek help and seek support without risking their employment. Perhaps the organisation can point them to some sources of support and to bring them back from the edge. But the organisation could have action planning, can have awareness events, it could have a set of aims and objectives, aims at stamping out the influence of alcohol at work and perhaps leading by example, so that in social functions senior management are not seen to drink to excess and so on. So it's a two-way thing. The employees are encouraged to talk to the organisation, and the organisation reciprocates by having policies which are supportive of the reduction in this type of abuse, and it gives example. The organisation could certainly restrict or ban alcohol or the possession of alcohol at work. Alcoholic drinks should not be available in the work premises. Perhaps in visitors' dining areas it may be allowed, but generally speaking there should be a zero tolerance policy towards the provision of alcoholic drinks on the premises. It's dangerous. If employees are using machinery or engaged in engineering processes or manufacturing processes involving moving parts and machines and so on, it's dangerous if they are not alert to the risks. But it's also dangerous in the office where perhaps valuable programs, valuable files could be risked or deleted or damaged, or data wrongly entered and taken as accurate perhaps later when in fact it wasn't. It was casually entered because the people were not capable of delivering good quality work. Disciplinary action. Well, workers must be aware of consequences of gross misconduct, and gross misconduct may be the result of alcohol and drugs and that sort of abuse. So if employees misbehave and pose a danger to others, they may be subject to disciplinary action. They may even lose their jobs. So the workplace policies maintain confidentiality. All cases relating to alcohol problems must be kept confidential. The management must not talk about the cases, or certainly not publicise the cases. It is confidential between the employee and the organisation. Support from line managers. Well, the line managers who know the employees best can identify, monitor, assess the employees and offer support. Counselling and services to help employees deal with the problem perhaps. But bear in mind, of course, the line manager has a lot of responsibilities. The line manager is responsible for the smooth functioning of that particular section and maintaining productivity and good quality work and so on. And the line manager will not have a lot of time to give perhaps the right level of support. But the line manager should be trained to know sources of support where the employee can be directed for help. There can be counselling services, of course, within the organisation. These could be internal or they could be external services. Should be provided to employees who need support and to help them return to work. So counselling services are important, and larger organisations may have trained counsellors on the staff who are there to be consulted by the employees in the event of them needing some additional support or guidance. HIV and AIDS. Well, health concerns such as HIV and AIDS must be considered by employees. It's important for them to understand that the employers must be aware of this. The employees may have these issues. Employers must produce policy documents communicating their commitment to ensure equality and diversity. So the employers must show support for the employees who are affected by these ailments. The employers must show support and must treat these workers in exactly the same way as they would treat other workers with major illnesses. The policy, of course, must be strictly confidential, and appropriate support must be provided for people with AIDS and HIV. Not just counselling, but perhaps recommendations to see specialists or to seek outside help as well. It is confidential. It should be always confidential between the employer and the employee, but the employers must treat this condition confidentially and in a supportive manner. The workplace policy, well, employees with HIV and AIDS must be treated with the same rights and standards of living as employees with other serious illnesses. So the employees must not be discriminated against in any way. The employers must treat all the workers equally and offer support to them equally. Employers are expected to provide all employees with the latest information, training, safe practices regarding HIV and AIDS. Of course, we have to recognise that this may not be an expertise of the business, but the business should treat the workers fairly and treat them in the same way as other employees who have serious illnesses. There should be no even suggestion of discrimination. There should be a supportive environment aimed at helping these employees. Employers must provide strict confidentiality, as I said, regarding employees with medical histories and up-to-date health checks. So the organisation should encourage the employees to seek health checks, enable the employees to follow courses of treatment, perhaps introduce some flexibility into their working life to accommodate this. But the employers must try to support all the employees, and certainly employees affected in this way. Educational and counselling services must be provided to all employees, but not restricted to individuals with AIDS and HIV. As I said, it depends on the organisation, the scale of the organisation, the resources of the organisation. Some companies may not be able to afford this or may not have the expertise, but they should, at a minimum, at least know outside support and know agencies who can provide education and training to the employees and help the employees as a consequence, and perhaps even invite in these organisations from time to time to do talks and run seminars and engage with the workers to spread information. Individual groups must not be targeted against or forced to undertake workplace physical examinations and tests simply because they have AIDS or HIV. It's not right to force employees to undertake tests or engage in physical examinations or whatever simply because they've got AIDS or HIV. The employee workforce should be treated equally, and there should be no coercion. These facilities should be provided as a means of help. It's a facility provided by the organisation. It should not be coercive. Counselling. Well, a counselling service provides many benefits for employees and employers. Having expertise on the premises, if possible, depending on the size of the organisation. Medium-sized companies may be able to afford it. Large companies could perhaps certainly afford having a counselling service, having an expertise, having trained counsellors who can talk to the employees, talk to the managers indeed, and find out issues and try to find solutions to these issues. A counselling service communicates employee value, increases loyalty, reduces staff turnover and commitment from employees. So it involves more commitment from the employees, it reduces the staff turnover, it increases loyalty. A counselling service is seen as a supportive function. It helps the employees work, and it helps them to relate to the organisation and feel that the organisation is providing a service for them that helps them. Counselling services can improve employee confidence and help them towards career development opportunities. Just having counselling, having direction, having a professional listening to issues and giving advice and direction. It's voluntary. They may not want to follow the advice or the direction, but it's moving them in the right direction, and it's certainly something that the employees would want to think about. There's also the employee assistance programs, EAPs. Counselling service can be in-house or from an external agency. So counselling could be a service provided by the company. It could be counsellors in an office within the company, or it could be external. It could be that external agents are employed and the employees may go and see these at their premises, or perhaps sometimes the external agents may come to the business and uh, be available for certain times during the week. Organisations opt for employee assistance programs where external counselling services are provided. The EAP offers a range of skills and services in dealing with counselling and employee welfare. So it's really where there's employee assistance programs. There's ways of helping the employees, perhaps counselling agencies, as I said, and it could be an external agency that the company employs to attend their premises from time to time, to have workshops and seminars and make their services available to the employees at convenient times, or the employees may simply go to outside agencies from time to time and talk to them there. The EAP reduces cost for employers, as an in-house counselling service can be costly. So perhaps engaging in sort of it's a bit like outsourcing. The counselling service has been outsourced to an external agency, and they provide the advice and guidance, and they have an expertise in this area, and that of course is much cheaper for the organisation. They don't have a dedicated workforce doing it, but their employees benefit by having the external advice of professionals. So these are ways in which employee welfare can be promoted, and that's the last video in this series. We've had 4 short videos on this topic, and it's wise for you to look at each of them in sequence. That's all we're going to deal with here, so let's leave it at that and say thank you for watching.